Today you will learn how to add a chromatic note in the major scale to change its sound and unlock a world of possibilities in the bebop language. Bebop scales are one of the most useful resources when you start learning jazz guitar, and as you probably know, there are three types of bebop scales: major scale, minor and dominant. But today we are going to focus just on major scales and start our trip to discover the bebop sound. So let's go! Our examples will be in C major, so we will be playing this type of harmony: C major 7, C 6. Depending on our bebop scale, major, minor or dominant, we have available different sets of chromatics that apply when you are ascending and descending. First of all, we are going to start from the root and adding the typical chromatic passage in a major scale, which is none other than the passage between the 5th and the 6th. So, if we are in C major, we are going to play this one here. Of course, we can employ different fingerings for that purpose of playing bebop scales. In this case, I'm playing with 3 notes per string. You can play 2 octaves easily using this pattern. Just focus on the starting note, and from here, and connecting both of them, the other possibility is jumping in the opposite direction. So we start here. Notice that the idea behind bebop scales and all the jazz articulation is being able to swing in the uptempos. So focus on the accents, because we are going to da, para, para, para. So we are focusing on the upbeat, para, 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 right? To get this bebop articulation. In the other position, we will not be able to play a string 3rd note, but as long as you got in mind the idea of the articulation, you will be fine. After we played ascending from the root, we are going to descend to the root. Even here. Next step, we start our phrases from the 3rd of our C major chord. And we ascend from 3rd to the 3rd, and do the same in the opposite direction. When you do this descending passage from the 3rd, I used to play 2 different types of fingerings. The first one is just following the usual pattern, but adding the chromatic note, which is absolutely great. But if you want to aim for the articulation, the total jazz articulation, you can stretch a little bit from the 3rd and play 3 notes per string here, and all of them will be the upbeats swinging to the strong notes. So, and if you play it fast, next one, our phrase starts on the 5th and ascends to the 5th. Now, the 6th. Remember that both chords are possible here, 7 and 6th. So our phrase starts on the 6th, descending. Now let's start our phrase descending from the 7th. This would be the chord related. And In this case, you got two options, starting here, ending up here on the root, or placing the root in this string, which will allow you to play maybe faster because you don't have to change the string. At least for me, it's quite easier doing this way. This note. And from there, start to ascend again. So we still have two more notes from which our bebop scale can start, and in this case I'm talking about the ninth, and the ninth allows a different chromatic passage. We still keep the fifth and the sixth chromatic passage, but right now we are going to use 9 and flat 9. So you don't have to include the chord, but sounds cool and it's a great exercise. And if you play the phrase without the chord, the remaining note would be the fourth, and we are going to employ an extra chromatic note here also. We start here, all chromatics from here. So we have the original between the sixth and the fifth, and we added the minor 7 also. So, and once we reach the fifth, we start the ascending phrase, in which we only employ the fifth and the sixth chromatic note. We are not going to employ the minor 7 because we start our phrase from the fifth. So remember, when we are playing from the root, the third, the fifth, and the sixth, which will be the bebop chord tones, we are adding just one chromatic note between the fifth and the sixth. And when we start in non-chord tones, in this case the ninth or the second, the fourth or the 11th, and even the 7th, the major 7, we add an extra chromatic note. In the case of the ninth, it's just the ninth and flat 9. And on the remaining notes from the 7th and from the 4th, we will be adding also a minor 7 to the descending passage. If you want to take things further, of course, don't remain on this position. I won't tell you to play it in 12 keys, because on the guitar would be kind of redundant work. But I would recommend to find all the chromatic notes that we are playing here in this place. And we will do the same approach from the root and descending, from the third, now from the fifth, notice this movement because it will be a constant in this position. I'm talking about employing the chromatic passage here. So, and exactly the same with the rest of the notes, the fourth and the major 7. Doing this, practically you get the fretboard mapped, employing bebop scales, and you will gain knowledge of how each note, each chromatic added note, works in ascending motion and descending motion. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, you get the PDF with all the phrases available on my website for free, so check them out. See you in the next chapter.